The laughter echoed through the crystalline chamber like shattering glass. Queen Elena Morrison stood before the Galactic Council, her hands clasped behind her back, her expression unchanged. Around her, representatives from 47 species chittered, clicked, and howled their amusement. The Zenthari ambassador's translator crackled with barely contained mockery. "Your species wishes to join the council as equals?" The ambassador's four eyes gleamed with condescension. "Humans, barely 500 years into space travel. Your biology is fragile. Your technology is borrowed. Your worlds are few." A Calrix delegate rose, its chitinous armor gleaming under the council's ambient light. "We have reviewed your genetic profile, human queen. Your bones break easily. Your skin tears from simple contact. You require constant temperature regulation to survive. You are, by all measurements, a species of weakness." More laughter. Elena noticed the Thros delegation exchanging what appeared to be currency, already betting on humanity's inevitable rejection. She let the moment stretch, let them enjoy their superiority. Then she spoke, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "A demonstration, then?" The chamber quieted slightly. The Zenthari ambassador leaned forward. "What sort of demonstration?" "Combat," Elena said simply. "Your finest warriors against one of mine. When my representative wins, humanity receives full council membership, unrestricted trade access, and a formal apology broadcast across all member worlds." The silence lasted 3 seconds before the chamber erupted in fresh mockery. The Calrix delegate slammed its appendage against its podium. "One of your warriors? Against ours? This is comedy, not diplomacy." "I accept your terms," the Zenthari ambassador said, its mandibles clicking with amusement. "But when your warrior falls, humanity withdraws its application for a century." "Agreed?" Elena's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Agreed." The arena took 6 hours to prepare. The council chose the location carefully. A neutral station orbiting a dead star, its gravity adjusted to standard galactic norm. Seating for 3,000 surrounded a circular combat floor made of impact-resistant polymer. The betting had gone viral across council networks. Odds heavily favored a human defeat within the first minute. The council selected their champions with equal care. First, a Calrix warrior named Thexan, 7 feet of armored chitin and razor-sharp limbs, veteran of 32 campaigns. Second, a Zenthari combat specialist called Cheekstor, its body a mass of corded muscle and 4 manipulator arms, undefeated in council tournaments for 6 years. Third, a Vorlon shock trooper Gravik, whose species had evolved in crushing gravity and possessed bones like titanium. 3 species, 3 warriors, all trained from birth for combat. The human transport arrived on schedule. Elena Morrison emerged first, flanked by 2 advisors. Behind her came a single young woman in plain gray clothing. She was perhaps 5'6", lean but not heavily muscled, with sun-darkened skin and light brown hair pulled into a practical braid. She carried no weapons, no armor. She looked around the arena with the casual interest of someone visiting a museum. Her name was Kira Hayes. She was 19 standard years old. She had been born and raised in the Australian outback colony on Titan's surface, where daytime temperatures swung 200 degrees and the atmosphere could kill an unprotected human in 90 seconds. The Zenthari ambassador studied her through the observation glass. "This is your warrior?" "A child?" she volunteered, Elena replied. The mockery reached new heights. The crowd roared with laughter. Betting adjusted further against humanity. Someone started a countdown clock, wagering on how many seconds Kira would last before surrendering. The most optimistic estimate was 45 seconds. Kira stepped onto the combat floor. The 3 alien warriors spread out, forming a triangle around her. Dexon's razor limbs gleamed. Cheestor's forearms flexed and rotated. Gravik cracked knuckles that looked like iron clubs. The referee, a floating drone, initiated the countdown. "Combatants ready. Match begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thexon struck first. The Calrix warrior was fast, its species famous for lightning attacks. Its bladed arm whistled through the air toward Kira's throat, a killing blow designed to end the match instantly. Kira wasn't there. She had moved left inside Thexon's reach, and her hand found a pressure point where the Calrix's arm joint met its thorax. She pressed, twisted, and used the alien's own momentum. Thexon's 7-foot frame flipped completely over and slammed into the polymer floor with a sound like a gong. Before it could recover, Kira's heel came down precisely on a nerve cluster at the base of its skull. The Calrix warrior went limp. Elapsed time, 8 seconds. The arena went silent. 3,000 spectators stopped breathing. The countdown clock seemed to mock them. Chixthor recovered first. The Zenthari's forearms came at Kira from multiple angles, a whirlwind assault no human should be able to track. But Kira had grown up hunting adapted predators in Titan's wilderness, creatures that moved faster than Earth normal animals could survive. She read Keithor's attack pattern in 2 moves, found the rhythm, and slipped between the strikes like water through a net. Her elbow found Keithor's primary breathing aperture. The strike was measured, controlled, brutal. The Zenthari made a choking sound and staggered back. Kira pressed the advantage, moving with economy that looked effortless. She targeted joints, pressure points, nerve clusters that her briefing had identified. Chixthor's superior strength meant nothing when it couldn't land a hit, when it couldn't breathe properly, when every motion telegraphed its next move to someone who had learned to read body language to survive. Kira ducked under a wild swing, hooked her leg behind Chixthor's knee and pulled. The Zenthari crashed down. Her fist struck precisely where the creature's multiple hearts clustered. Not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to disrupt the rhythm, to send the warrior into temporary cardiac confusion. Chixthor's eyes rolled back. Elapsed time, 23 seconds. Gravik roared. The Vorlon had watched its companions fall, and understood, perhaps, that humanity was not what the Council had believed. It charged with the full weight of its dense-boned, high-gravity evolved body, arms spread to grapple, to use its superior mass. Kira planted her feet and waited. At the last possible instant, she dropped and rolled, using Gravik's own momentum to throw the massive warrior over her shoulder. The Vorlon crashed into the arena wall hard enough to crack the polymer, but its bones didn't break. It rose, shook its head, and came again, more cautious now. This time Kira met the charge. She was smaller, lighter, evolved under lower gravity, but she had something Gravik didn't understand. She had adaptability. Humans learned. Humans observed. Humans improvised. She feinted left, went right, and when Gravik turned to track her, she was already moving to its blind spot. Her hands found the thick cords of muscle in its neck, squeezed the carotid equivalent, and held on as Gravik thrashed. 10 seconds. 15. 20. Gravik went down. Elapsed time for match start, 58 seconds. Kira stood in the center of the arena, breathing only slightly harder than when she'd entered. Around her, 3 elite alien warriors lay unconscious or incapacitated. The silence in the observation chamber was absolute. Elena Morrison stepped forward to the glass, her expression still neutral. "Humans are fragile," she said quietly. Her voice transmitted across every council network. "Our bones break easily. Our skin tears. We require narrow temperature ranges. All of this is true. But you forgot to ask why we are this way. You forgot to ask what kind of world produces such fragility." She gestured toward Kira, who was helping the medical team load Thexon onto a stretcher. "Earth is a death world. 0.98. Standard gravity, wild temperature swings, an atmosphere with corrosive oxygen, tectonic instability, extreme weather, and predators at every level of the food chain. Humans are fragile because Earth is brutal. We evolved to be fast, adaptable, and efficient because anything slow died. We learned to read intention, predict movement, and exploit weakness because our survival depended on it." Elena's voice hardened. "And that young woman you just watched is not a soldier. She's not military. She's a colonist from Titan, where the environment makes Earth look gentle. She volunteered because she was curious. She trains by surviving, nothing more." The Zenthari ambassador had gone completely still. The Calix delegate's translator remained silent. Across the chamber, representatives from 47 species stared at the arena, where Kira was now accepting a bottle of water from a medic, looking entirely unbothered. "You wanted a demonstration?" Elena continued. You have won. This is what an ordinary human can do when motivated. Imagine what our trained soldiers can do. Imagine what our pilots, our engineers, our scientists can do when we put our minds to a problem. We are fragile, yes, but we are also resilient, adaptable, and very, very difficult to kill. She turned to face the council directly. So here are your options. You can honor our agreement, full council membership, unrestricted trade access, and a formal apology. Or you can declare the terms void and face the consequences of breaking a treaty with the species you now know you underestimated. The vote took 11 minutes. It was unanimous. 3 days later, the formal ceremony took place in the same crystalline chamber. The apology was broadcast across all council networks, translated into 400 languages, and recorded for permanent historical archives. Trade agreements were signed. Humanity received a permanent seat with full voting rights. The galaxy watched and learned. Kira Hayes returned to Titan on a commercial transport, declining all interview requests. She went back to her job at the atmospheric processing plant, back to her small apartment in the colony's residential section, back to weekend hikes in the frozen wilderness where she'd grown up. Her friends asked about her trip. She shrugged and said it was fine, nothing special. But across the galaxy, military academies began updating their threat assessments. Diplomatic corps revised their contact protocols. Trading houses scrambled to establish human partnerships. The word spread through council space like wildfire. The Deathworlders had arrived, and everything had changed. On Earth, Elena Morrison addressed the assembled media in Geneva. Today, humanity takes its place among the stars as equals, she said. Not because we are the strongest or the fastest or the most advanced, but because we are survivors. We are adapters. We are the species that looks at the impossible and finds a way. She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. And to anyone watching who might still doubt us, who might still think humanity is weak or primitive or easily dismissed, I have one piece of advice. Remember the girl from Titan. Remember how quickly your certainty became your mistake? And ask yourselves if you really want to test us again. The Zenthari ambassador watched the broadcast from its home station, its mandibles clicking in what might have been respect or fear. It had reviewed the arena footage 37 times, analyzing every move Kira Hayes had made. Each viewing revealed new details. The precision, the control, the absolute economy of motion. Nothing wasted, nothing excessive. Just brutal, efficient competence. Its aide approached, carrying a data tablet. Ambassador, the human delegation has sent a gift. A documentary about Earth's evolutionary history. The ambassador accepted the tablet and began watching. 40 minutes later, it understood. It saw Earth's predators, lions, bears, sharks, crocodiles. It saw Earth's disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, wildfires. It saw human ancestors surviving in environments that would kill most council species outright. It saw the climb from prey to apex predator, the journey from caves to spacecraft. And it realized, with a chill that ran through its entire nervous system, that the Council had made a terrible assumption. They had assumed fragility meant weakness. They had assumed primitive meant inferior. They had assumed that species who barely survived their own world couldn't possibly compete with those who had conquered easier ones. They had been catastrophically wrong. The documentary ended with footage of human children playing in a park, laughing, running, falling, and getting back up. The narrator's voice was calm, almost gentle. This is humanity. We are the species that turns struggle into strength. The species that learns from every failure. The species that never ever gives up. Welcome to the era of the Deathworlders. The ambassador deactivated the tablet. It sent a message to its government. Revise all human interaction protocols. Establish friendly relations and under no circumstances ever again underestimate them. On Titan, Kira Hayes finished her shift and walked home under the dome's artificial sky. She thought briefly about the arena, the warriors she'd fought, the fear she'd seen in their eyes when they realized what she was. She felt no pride or satisfaction. It had been necessary, nothing more, just another day surviving. She opened her apartment door, fed her cat, and started preparing dinner. Outside, Titan's methane storms raged across the surface, temperatures plunging to 9,179 degrees. Inside, protected by human engineering and human determination, life continued. Somewhere out in the galaxy, civilizations were rewriting their understanding of what humanity meant. But here, in this small apartment, on a moon that would kill most species in seconds, a 19-year-old woman ate her meal, petted her cat, and thought about what to do with her weekend. The mockery had ended. The lesson had been taught, and humanity's place among the stars was no longer in question. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.